Okay, let's move on. There is another event which is perhaps not such good news. Before Jesus comes to the earth, the Bible tells us, not just in this passage, but also in many passages, some passages in the Hebrew Scriptures, in the book of Daniel, book of Isaiah, book of Joel, and other passages speak about a time of unique trouble which will take place on the earth. And indeed, that trouble will be so intense that if God didn't cut short that time of trouble, then it could lead to the end of life on the earth. 4 verse 21, it says, "Then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. Unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened." So a time of unique trouble, and a time which is unlike any that has been before or ever shall be. And he goes on to say in verse 29 of Matthew 24, "Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a great sound of the trumpet. They will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." So this event is going to take place immediately after the tribulation. So Jesus is going to come back to the earth immediately after the time of tribulation. So this is a brief rundown of what the Bible says about the Great Tribulation. Jesus will come back, this time not as said with the suffering servant, but this time as the King of Kings, as the Lord of Lords, with all the power of God at his disposal to put right the mess which humans have made of the planet he gave us to look after. Now, some people don't like to study this subject for this reason, because they find this rather scary. They don't like to think about bad stuff happening, but actually being told even by the news today that the world is on the brink of a series of catastrophes. They're warning us that we might blow the place up with global warming, pollution, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons, whatever. The Bible tells us that's actually not the fundamental problem, but it's part of the problem, and that when these things happen, the world will come to the brink of destruction before Jesus returns in person to the earth.